Hello and welcome to this week's podcast, and we're straight across to Mod Osborne in Law Corner.
Why, hello and welcome to the Law Corner. This time we're talking about Godless and Anima Mundi, because they kind of come as a big old bundle. But I've got Rowley and Stu with me, but no Raven again. Who knew?
Told you.
I know, you did tell us last week. He is slacking once again. What a scumbag. Okay, the Godless. So not everybody knows who the Godless is, or are. So does anybody want to have a crack at it?
They're the faction that don't want gods. Yeah, because we give players lots of options to align with a particular faction, and this is essentially the atheist. I don't want to get involved in gods at all.
Yeah.
Or the more militant, we don't like gods, we want to push them out.
Yeah.
And then there's that conflict within the Godless themselves.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, we'll get onto that rift in a moment, but you're smack on in that when we were creating the RuneScape 3 and the 6th Age and all this malarkey, we knew full well that not everybody would want to buy into it, who didn't want to affiliate with a god, and it was kind of giving them the option. And I think it's also pointed out that RuneScape before the 6th Age didn't really have many atheists or agnostics. You either supported a god or you didn't talk about them. So it's quite nice to create a faction of those who didn't like gods, which obviously creates nice conflicts. So yeah, we've got, they're split in two, I guess. Those two don't have a name necessarily yet. They might do in the future. But we have the militant ones, so Coromare, Ux, who we haven't met yet. And on that other side, the more passive, let's just say no to gods, thank you very much. I can imagine the T-shirts now. Say no to gods. Yeah. The Garlandia, who we have met, and Bine, who we haven't, and a few others. I think it's kind of, the most obvious thing about the Godless for me is the absence of them. Like,
Ironically.
Yeah, they're very prominent. We ram them in people's faces with god caps and T-shirts and emissaries and these entities that introduce you to world events, but not really give them any meaningful content.
Yeah, long overdue for it, I think.
I think that, and that's why they're on the survey. I mean, the two surveys we put together as I had a Godless entry on it. So the original intention of the Godless was that we would introduce them over the course of world events, and then just kind of get to know each of the characters. Now, actually, the Godless would be introduced with Invention. And that was when Invention was pitched up against the Elf City as a piece of content. And the idea was that Invention would be very kind of narrative-led. Every 20 levels in Invention, then you'd reach this kind of mini-quest in which you'd kind of outfit the Godless with materials, weapons, armors that could give them a chance against the gods. And that would mean every 20 bands, they would get improved and improved and improved. And you've actually got a kind of a law reasoning, a law function for Invention in the core game, because Mod Mark was pushing us to tie in virtually everything to the 6th Age story. But obviously that kind of fell through, Invention didn't get voted in. Its purpose changed when we had Divination.
It still seems like a good fit for them when they do make their mark.
I think so. There's certainly the notion of, we did some concept work, actually, of the Godless almost outfitted like, I guess, as Guardians. You watch the latest Thor movies, you could see these kind of...
It would have been nice that when we took off the
Super
kind
nice.
of Asgardian sci-fi techno armor, we'd given them some shirts to put on. Because it just seems like they had
That's their common theme, isn't it?
Yeah.
A little bit of, they have to have some tape to keep themselves in, it seems.
They seem quite tribal. Like that tattoo feeling as well. That they'll mark themselves in some way.
But which is quite interesting, because when we were setting them up, one of the core aims of the Godless was actually that they were a diverse bunch. Like, so many of our storylines are kind of racially oriented. You go do a dwarf quest, there are lots of dwarves. You go do a goblin quest, there's lots of goblins. But with the Godless, it would feel like a bringing together of all the different races. So it wasn't actually an intention of making them tribal. In fact, they were cosmopolitan in a sense. But again, just haven't been able to see that yet, because you've seen a nice scene, you've seen Coromare from the books, and that's really it. I think we'd like to do more with them. It certainly is a topic that keeps getting raised, and there's a kind of a real eagerness for the Godless. I think Coromare's worth talking about, because obviously she came from the novel and was one of the first tie-ins to the novel.
With World Event 1.
Yeah, World Event 1 is the counterpoint.
Previous to that, I think it was just there was a couple of little things in the rework of
What's Mine Is Yours, was it?
Quest.
Yeah, What's Mine Is Yours, those Doric references.
Yeah.
And up to that point, we'd kind of had this stance that the novel is there. It's obviously, it's the meme, isn't it? That
it's the Gower Quest thing, isn't it? Now
yeah,
it's canonical until it's not.
Until it completely contradicts something we've done because we haven't, necessarily put in the research. But Coromare, I remember having long arguments actually with. This shows that the narrative designer doesn't always win. That had long arguments with graphics because we wanted somebody central that could be visually kind of recognisable. And they went for this very kind of big, almost ball gown-esque version of Coromare. I imagined her more kind of brown robe, maybe kind of hidden hood up, trying to stay out of the focus.
To me, I can't unsee her as like one of the prince's cousins from Katamari.
Oh yeah, that's
just the big head cones.
And I think that when we revisit Coromare, because she will be revisited, I feel like we'll probably pull back from that look. That is too showy. That's too, I forget the name of her from Naboo, Padme.
That one, yeah.
She's a bit Amidala. And I don't reckon that quite fits. And so, we lost on that sense.
Her personality might need a bit of a revisit too, because she's not the most likeable person.
She's abrasive.
Very aggressive.
Yeah.
I remember that was Olo. Mod Olo wrote that for World of Event 1, and we kind of talked about that when she cropped up again in some of the content we've worked on.
So if any of you have kind of gone about the interpretation of Coromare, we're very much planning to revisit that. But there's a lot of exciting stuff. We wrote character summaries for each of the entities in the Godless, or at least the prominent ones. So Fossil, a troll that was or was going to go up for the Mighty Four, like try to effectively fight out to be leader of the trolls, but had his arm yanked off, in the process. So is this kind of armless troll, and we have Ux, who
he was always my favourite. I mean, the idea of exploring. So Ux is a lesser demon, I believe, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And the idea of exploring how the Avernic contract system works and how he's able to be a part of the Godless.
This is it.
And the kind of conflict.
How he, this legal loopholes he's jumped through, so he's not under the demon pact that effectively Zaros or Zamorak has signed with the demons. It's really quite interesting, that reverse demon pact. I mean, there's only like little seeds of it in the storyline.
Yeah.
But the idea that it's Zaros and afterwards Zamorak who has a deal very much in their favour over the demons, which is a nice subversion. Yeah, but very diverse.
Who else was there? Bean. You haven't said much about Bean. Bine.
Yeah, for anybody who's interested, this is very much this is my love of Michael Bine. So, Bine is a reference to the star of Aliens and Terminator.
Very recently seen in Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon,
yes.
Yep.
And also a terrible Alien game recently. But he's got the greatest depth in terms of his character, what we put out there, because there's various layers to him, but we won't go into that. It's from a kind of developer standpoint, we put so much effort in. We really want to explore these characters because they've all got reasons to go up against the gods. And they are varied, and obviously they've got very different philosophies about how to get rid of the gods as well. But Bine very much is the pragmatist, the leader of the group, the Corbyn, if you're looking into British politics. He's kind of leading up, but no, everybody is just kind of mutinying and breaking in two underneath him because there's such a rift. But the logo is worth talking about. I don't know if you guys were involved in the creation of the logo for the Godless.
No.
Colour's always a problem with factions. We were trying to find a colour to suit that hasn't been taken already, and eventually we found orange. But couldn't find anything that really suited until Modian came up with the idea of a broken chain. And I felt that it was really appropriate, the idea of that humanity were effectively in some way subjugated or slaves to the gods, and the Godless are there to break that chain. And it feels
of liberation.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it also grey? So it's like an absence of colour, which all the gods are quite colourful.
Certainly the god cap is orange. Yeah, I think we were talking about the idea of maybe removing colour. It's if not, it's a really cool idea. Let's do it.
All right, okay. Making up lore.
Yeah, slot that in. Lore bomb. Lore drop.
Was it 50 Shades of Grey?
50 Shades of Grey. Oh, my buttons just dropped one in. I think we have our first Godless quest title. I'm sure Coromare will be... Oh my gosh. Anyway, so the future of the Godless is one that's up in the survey. It's sitting midway. It's not doing too badly. But what kind of stories do you think you would tell? I mean, if I sat you down and said, look, can you do a Godless storyline? Where would you take it?
Initially, probably something to do with... It sounds really dull, but the kind of politics of it.
Yeah.
Like the unification of the two opposing
It's kind of a storyline we haven't done for a long
beliefs,
time.
ideas.
Not
But
since
then
maybe the kind of Cave Goblin quest.
politics
that kind of riffs
does
and
come
politics.
into the Desert series quite heavily with
Okay.
Menaphos versus Al-Kharid.
Yeah.
So maybe it would be about the diversification, like helping both paths.
Yeah.
But also, I think the tie-in with Invention is still strong. They need to be able to be a presence in the world that
Yeah. And we're
people can
approaching
take
a time
seriously.
when an invention quest makes sense, to tie it in, to make it seem like a core skill, or make it a core skill, to actually give it quest content. Makes sense. What would you do, Stu?
I think something that focuses on the gravity and the consequences of the gods fighting with each other. The sense of the destruction that it creates and the impact that it has, and how that would motivate people to not want to have anything to do with the gods.
That's certainly a topic that, I mean, if you look at Batman versus Superman, weirdly, kind of topically this year, and the latest Captain America, that notion of taking it down to human level and look at the devastation and the, with great power comes great responsibility and all that lot.
It's further than that. It's more like something like Powers.
Yes.
Where you're seeing like the real world.
Yeah, or
And
Marvels.
what's the one about the cleanup squad?
Yeah.
There's
Not Suicide Squad, is it?
no,
Or
there's like the people, the janitors, effectively.
the janitors, yeah.
There's an insurance, isn't it? They do insurance against the destruction caused by superheroes and stuff like that.
An upcoming series, yeah.
Something like that. I can't remember what it's called.
And it's about taking down to that human level, because it's very easy to just, escalate power levels, spend a lot of time with Zaros as, worlds are being destroyed. But sometimes you just want to return to the human and find out what it's doing to individual, smaller towns, villages, that sort of thing. Yeah, I like that a lot. And it's hard to talk about the Godless without going to the Anima, because they've started to become closer tied. Obviously with the Tusker World event.
I think part of that comes from not having that invention tie-in, and to give them legitimacy, they kind of needed a force to be reckoned with, and that being Virago was the most logical choice.
Yeah. I'd like to talk about the Anima. I think we've got a little bit of time to do that. That the Anima has suddenly become something we are pushing to the fore. There are reasons we're doing that. I mean, you can probably look at the 3 pillars and understand why. But certainly the Anima is, we like that idea of supernature, the idea of the world fighting back, because so much destruction, there's so much kind of pulling apart of the world. Guthix was effectively bringing some kind of balance, and now that is being disrupted. We've got Battle of Runbridge creating a crater, the wilderness has long been destroyed. And that Virago and Telos are suddenly rising up, these characters that represent the Earth, the planet.
The kind of theme of the planet fighting back is prevalent in a lot of apocalypse stories. And it feels like it ups the ante a bit, and it shows how dire things have become. You
can just see the value in that when you think about what will the Anima do, or think, if it can think, about the Elder Gods. The Elder Gods have created this planet that's beautiful, lush, perfect. So perfect, in fact, that it's created a sentient Anima. And this is a problem that the Elder Gods have never encountered before. So you can start seeing where the story is going. And it's just got so much value and interest in that. But yeah, so you're going to see more of Virago, I'm sure.
Well, you say that, but there's also the Gobi homeworld with all that stuff with Zinactu and... I probably said that wrong, and Yakimaru.
Yes.
Which has that sort of similar Virago-esque feel to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course we have, Sally and the Idle Adventures. That's going to be another Anima entity that we definitely got plans to bring her in.
Before we even started, we had that massive meeting about what this was all about, and how it ties into the grander story.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to bleed in a little bit more. Anything else we want to mention on the Anima Mundi? I think for me, I would never have liked it to be called the Anima Mundi. I always feel silly whenever I say it. I don't know why. I think it's the overt Latinness of it.
Well, I mean, it makes sense retroactively when we've tied it so closely to Zaros and Seren, right?
Yeah, true.
What else would you call it?
Indeed. Life juice, Guthix juice, as it's often been called erroneously by us. There we go. All right, thank you very much for talking about the Godless and Anima Mundi. Well, so that's the end of Law Corner this week, but next week we have the Desert Gods, the whole of the Pantheon, so we're going to try to cover a Pantheon, so do please tune in.
Cork, Nay Talk in Law Corner. But now we've still got Mod Osborne on the sofa, here to talk about his favourite music. So, Mod Osborne, what is your favourite music in RuneScape?
Hello, Foxy. I couldn't really pick. I had such a hard time. I think I kind of came up with a top 4, top 3.
Yeah. I'd like you to make the honourable mention that you're not allowed to use as your favourite because you wrote part.
I didn't know if that was like the done thing.
No,
are you allowed to mention things?
It's not.
You'd be surprised how many lyrics I've written. I've not done too bad. There's sensible stuff, like a lot of the Elf City things.
Yes.
Kind of Hencewood and.
So which is your honourable mention?
My honourable mention that I'd written is Glutton for Nourishment, because I genuinely read through the lyrics of that and actually laugh at myself still. It's terrible. It's, I'm a pork stallion with a pork medallion and 5 onion rings or something. There's the idea of this kind of hip-hop artist in a pig jacket.
The notorious P.I.G.
The notorious P.I.G. It's probably not a good thing to vote for your own, but there was also Memories of Gothics,
but that's
which is beautiful, which is already gone. I can't remember who took it. I'm going to have to nobble them. But it's a beautiful, beautiful song, beautiful track.
So what are you taking?
I am going to take... I think I'm going to go for Non Compos Mentis.
Okay.
So this is a version of Zaros Thurs. Now, Zaros Thurs is something that has been in the game since, I believe it might be Dig Site, since kind of the first rumblings of Zaros. And this leitmotif is kind of carried on through so many different songs. You see it, I think there's a Zaros Thurs reprise that came out just before Fate of the Gods. But it's this kind of it's got a real menace to it. Okay. And I've always loved that about it. It's immediately recognisable, and this version of it has got this kind of 80s synth to it. This kind of John Carpenter-esque kind of version of it that then brings in some strings and it really gives it some kind of emotional heft, kind of about 30 seconds in. And I've always loved it, and I hope to see it in more Zaros content, and full well there's going to be more of it.
Yeah.
So who knows, maybe we'll have a kind of full orchestral, full-blown version of it in the future. But for the moment, Non Compos Mentis is a cracking track for those who like the kind of ideal version of Zaros Thurs.
Okay, and we'll listen to that now.
Boom.
And I look forward to reading the comments about how many things Mod Osborne got wrong in his little speech. And now across to Mod Infinity and the player support team.
Hello and welcome to the latest customer support podcast. My name is Mod Infinity and I'm joined by
Mod Steve W. And thanks everyone for joining us for another podcast.
All right, so today we're going to be doing something slightly different. We're going to lift the lid into the life of customer support. So instead of talking about one big topic, we're going to talk about 10 smaller topics and spend about a minute or two on each of those topics. Does that sound good, Steve?
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool. What, have you got a good name for this or?
Did you know?
Did I know what?
That's
you're calling it Did You Know?
Yeah,
I like it. Good. Let's run with that.
10 different things. Okay, so let's start off with, how do you actually come to start working, within customer support at Jagex? What's that process? When you're here, what happens?
Yeah, so we're quite fussy about people that join the customer support team. We want, really good people. So we have a really sort of robust recruitment process. And what we actually do is we run assessment days. And what that means is we'll have a short list of people that will come into the studio, spend an entire day with us. And we're kind of testing people on different things, putting them through things to see how they react to things, how they think about things, whether they have a really good understanding of sort of a customer service ethos. It's a bit of fun for the guys as well. So, when they're here, we tend to look after them. We give them their food and drink. We have a bit of fun during the day as well. But actually, it's sort of an ongoing assessment throughout the day. There's a few tests you'd expect, like on a computer and so on. And obviously, then there's some kind of traditional interviews. But we use that whole day to kind of understand and get to know this person and see if they'll be a good fit for us. Once people pass that and they actually, get an offer to come and join us, once the excitement has died down from that, they'll find themselves in a 3-month training plan. So that's quite unique actually within customer service. 3 months is a long time to train someone in customer service. And that's just the initial training. That's just to get to understand what we do, how we do things, because we do things a bit differently to traditional customer support. We try and do the best by players every single time. And once that's kind of all in place, they're tested and assessed ongoing to make sure that they're sort of reaching high standards that we have. And then that finishes up with we call it a skill check week. And that means that they're just basically checked to make sure they can deal with every type of thing a customer might contact us about and they can deal with it really well. And then once they leave the training environment, they join the actual department and working on live items, speaking with customers, helping people every day. And then there's a sort of an ongoing process then where we check work that people are doing, make sure it's still up to the high standards that have been set within the training environment. And there's kind of feedback and coaching given to people every single week as well, where we spot things that maybe could have done a little bit better, a little bit differently, and just so people can do that differently the next time they come across that problem. But we also use those sessions to make sure we say, look, actually, you did really well here. This customer's really happy. This was a great creative solution you supplied for the problem this customer had and things like that. So there's a lot of sort of positive reinforcement as well that goes on. Yeah,
of course. I mean, that sounds really good, Steve. So these people who join us and we go through the assessment day. So how many people work in customer support? What's the size of the department?
I mean, it's about 33 people in the team.
Okay.
And we're here 24/7. And it's a thing people probably might not know. So one of the reasons that we do that is obviously there's game issues, things like bug reports that we need to deal with quite quickly and keep on top of. And actually customer support deal with about 70% of all bug reports that are submitted. So, you might think that, actually that probably falls to QA or something like that. And they do an element of them. But actually the vast majority does fall to customer support. So we're doing those throughout the night. We're doing priority kind of tickets and contact points throughout the night as well. So yeah, we're 24/7. If you contact us at 3:00 in the morning on Christmas Day, there's someone working for Jagex customer support that will be able to help. And then in addition to our staff providing 24/7 support, of course, we've got community helpers. So people might be aware of players that have stepped up that has kind of helped the community out. We've got 31 players who are community helpers. 15 of those specifically work on Twitter, but all of them work on the forums. And you'll see them identified by the badge, the community helper badge on the forums. And they've got a bit of insight with us and a little bit of training and support just to make sure they're giving the very best advice. And so those people are also obviously living all around the world, different countries, different time zones. So on top of our 24/7 support, you've got those guys as well who are well placed to offer advice to people, 24/7.
Sounds good. Okay, so live chat, Steve.
Yeah.
Did you know it exists?
Live chat?
Absolutely.
Surely not. So yeah, I mean, live chat is a thing that people will know from other games experience and other customer service experience where you can, perhaps speak live to an advisor. And we've adopted that in a very small way. So it's baby steps. We're not going all out and saying we're going to offer live support for everything. We want to be careful about this and make sure that we get it right. But yes, we have launched live chat for limited types of contact at limited times of the day. But, there's a possibility that if you're navigating through our support centre and you're trying to get some help, then you might see a little window pop up at the bottom of the screen that will offer you the option to live chat. It's not actually voice chat, so I should probably make that point. You have got to type on the screen, but the message is being conveyed live to a JMod at the other end who's kind of looking into your problem and seeing if they can help you. So, it's been really successful so far. We've been doing it in quite small steps, as I say, but, we measure the satisfaction of the customers that we deal with through live chat, and they all seem really satisfied. We've got really fast response times. I think, it's something like it's a few seconds response time at the moment, which is fantastic. And it's just something we'd like to grow. But obviously there's things we need to consider. It's quite hard for us to verify who people are when they're talking in a live chat window. So that's something we need to consider. If we were offering live chat support for sort of account issues, for example, account recovery issues, we need to think about how we can absolutely, have a solid approach to verifying who people are. But where it's an issue where it doesn't really matter who we're speaking to, we just need to offer some advice or help people in the moment with something, then we're trying to do that right now.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Next up, let's talk about the work we do and what we share with our community.
Okay, so some people might have noticed that in the general forum, you put a thread up actually each month. Yeah, Mod Infinity is the one to look for. He'll put a thread in the general forum, and it gives customer service stats for the previous month. So it's quite high level. It drills down into a little bit of detail, but it just gives people an idea of quite how much stuff we're dealing with, the things that we're doing, and gives you just an idea, I think, of the volume and the size and scale of things that actually this team, which I said, just over 30 people are actually dealing with. Looking at those stats for last month, so that's June 2016. We had over 1,000 people responded to our survey to say how satisfied they were, and 88% of people said that they were satisfied. So that's a really high sort of benchmark there. In that month, we received over 11,000 tickets from players. So sometimes people say it's hard to contact us. 11,000 people were able to do that last month. So actually, if you do follow the Sports Centre and use it as intended, you can get to contact us if you need to. Our response time, how quickly to get back to people, about 22% within an hour, 87% within 12 hours, and almost everyone gets a response within 24 hours. In terms of the type of work we do, 22,000 account recoveries were done in June. Okay. 10,000 offensive names reported to us. I have to say most of those aren't actually offensive, but hey, read and check every one. 900 offence appeals, and also sent out over 3,000 tweets. So the numbers are quite impressive, but actually if you look at the year so far, so we're about halfway through the year, just a little over, our support centres had 1.1 million views, just under 74,000 searches have taken place in the support centre. And actually, so far this year, we've been contacted by just over 216,000 players wanting help and advice about something. Yeah. And all with those, fantastic sort of response times and the quality and efficiency of our staff dealing with that are really high because, with the calibration, the kind of sampling, checking and feedback stuff that I mentioned earlier is taking place. And one final figure perhaps that people won't realise is that, 69% of people that contact us, we fix the problem straight away in the first response.
Wow.
So to contact us, sometimes people can be a little bit vague about what they need help with, but actually, just under 70% of people with one response, we fix the problem there and then.
Sounds good. I think really, really good stats. And it's something I want to include in the monthly stats, where we're currently at year to date. So thanks for that, Steve. All right, Steve, so let's talk about the 1 week in the year when the spotlight is really on us. Customer Support Week.
Yeah, so Customer Support Week happens in the first week of October. So it's a sort of customer service industry thing that a lot of people do. And in the past, we've not been that keen on it because it doesn't fit very well into the gaming sector and it's not kind of fun and enjoyable. But actually, a couple of years ago, we kind of looked at it and said, let's make this fun, let's make it JAGXy and let's make it quite cool for people to get involved in and give it our own sort of slant on Customer Service Week. So it happens in the first week of October. We're doing it again this year. We're building on the stuff that we did last year to make it a little bit better. One of the things that was really popular last year was we did a customer support themed drop version of the drop in game. Yeah. People loved that. It was really good. So we're actually building on that. And there's going to be some, I can't say too much, I don't think, some cool in-game kind of content stuff.
That's it.
Things that people can engage with actually in the game this year. I think we're doing the drop as well, are we? But outside of the drop, there's actually going to be something else outside of the drop, a little piece of game content. Devs are all on board with it. RuneScape management are on board with it. So it's going to happen. And that's going to be linked into Customer Service Week. So that's definitely one to look out for in the first week of October.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and obviously the customer support, Ask Me Anything on Reddit, Q&As, live streams we do, that'll all happen. The big infographic, bigger and better than before, and definitely check that out. First full week of October. Voice of the player. So customer support, Steve, we talk to the most players in the company. We're always talking to them every single day, 24 hours a day. So what is voice of the player?
Yeah, it's a phrase we use to describe the way that customer support can interact with the rest of the company and basically pass issues on that players make us aware of. And if you think about most game studios, actually the customer service team is probably separate from the rest of the studio. Most studios are divided out between different buildings and in many cases in different countries. Yeah, we're really fortunate here at Jagex that, most things are here under one roof at our studio in Cambridge. And what that means is that as a customer service team, if we become aware of an issue from a customer, we can literally just, walk a few steps and then speak to the people that can fix it,
Yeah.
And that's a real advantage that gives us and something we want to sort of champion and work on. So when we see these issues, we'll kind of raise those. We have internal systems that do it, so it can all be kind of monitored and recorded. And when the issue is raised, and developers can update it, and we can kind of update the customers if we need to, and to get their issue resolved. But the kind of general principle is that, we can fix things pretty quickly because we can see the people quickly and speak to them and get things done. And what people might have noticed is that if you go to our support centre, sometimes there's articles there right on the front page of the support centre that we call PSA articles. And this public service announcement, this is an article that we write when we've identified a player issue. We've raised it internally. We're doing this voice of the player process that I've spoken about, where we're trying to get something fixed. And we'll post an article on our Sports Centre PSA that advises customers that we're aware of this, that we flagged it, what we're doing. We'll kind of keep it updating it as things happen and change on that status. So it might be, for example, that just to make something up, a particular credit card can't be used in a particular country because of some technical issue. For example, a player flags that to us, we'll go and get that fixed, sorted out and escalated, and then we'll stick a PSA article up in our sports centre saying, hey, there's this known issue with credit cards and we expect it to be fixed by this particular time. So do check out those PSA articles, head to support, top right-hand corner of RuneScape.com, hit the word support and you're in our support centre. And if there are any current PSA articles, that's where they'll be.
Cool. I think we do kind of forget how fortunate we are to be in the same building as the developers, as the QA guys, as all that other cool teams, and actually,
it's not just things like technical problems. Sometimes it's things we just want to fix. Like the 1 billion drop, the change to that, for example. So that happened very recently. We changed the amount that you can drop to 1 billion, and that was sort of given to us by players. They were concerned about scamming and things being dropped, and we were able to actually just go and see developers and get that change. So it's a really good example of the voice of the player in action.
Yeah, another one comes to mind is the bonds. We found through customer contact a lot of old school players were buying main game bonds and vice versa, and we flagged that and then we got it changed so it's much more clear and simpler to buy the bond for the product you want.
Yeah, and the amount of contact we had reduced significantly when we made that change. Yeah, so you can see the end result. You can see it having an impact.
Cool. Okay, this one I don't think many people will know about or have heard of, but the CX Guild, we're part of it, we're founding members, but what is it and what do we do there?
So the CX Guild is it's customer service managers and senior managers from gaming companies around Europe, and we get together once or twice a year. And there's sort of an informal agreement between everyone that gets together that we're kind of speaking confidence, that we won't share information, commercially about what we're talking about. But the idea is that we kind of share with each other kind of best practice, our experiences, how we approach things, and just learn from each other really with the aim of, just improving customer service within the gaming sector for the greater good, just trying to make things better for everyone. Mm-hmm. Just kind of mutual benefit. So we're founding members of that. We went to the very first guild, and we normally present at them. So we pick a topic that we think we're particularly good at or something we're particularly proud of, and then we'll present that to the rest of the guild members, and then they can ask us questions and debate, and we kind of perhaps arrange to meet up at a later date and share further information. We've been to visit other studios, and other studios have been here to see us. So it's a really collaborative kind of thing. It has good success. We've learned a lot from it. I think we've shared a lot as well, and it's something we look forward to. It's a bit of fun as well, but it's quite cool to see actually that issues we face or challenges we have, actually they exist for other customer service teams in other gaming companies as well. And actually it's not unique to us. And then sometimes we find something quite cool that they're doing where we think, that's quite a nice quick fix, something we could do and would work for us.
All right, sounds good. I think, we've both been to them, right? You've been to the one, I think, within Portugal.
I went to Lisbon, yeah.
Lisbon. Did you go to the Germany one?
I went to Germany, Cologne, yeah.
Nice, okay. So I've been to the Lisbon one. I'm going to Cologne this August. So you told me a few things about the hotels weren't really good. And it is the people you meet who work at these other companies, are just as passionate as we are at Jagex about their customers and the industry as a whole. And so it's just a great opportunity to meet up with them and just talk about the issues you're facing, as you said.
Yeah, and I think one thing I always take from it as well is, and I don't want to talk about the other companies that there, because we do have this sort of commercial confidence thing with them, but there are some big names there, really household big gaming names. And actually, when we're doing our presentations and talking to them, they're really impressed with some of the stuff that Jagex do. And in relation to studio size and the resource, the number of people that we've got and things like that, they're actually, you can see they're, jaws drop almost when we talk about some of the things we do and how good we are at things. And that's always really encouraging. That's the thing I really like about it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So something which affects a lot of people and a lot of players, whether directly or indirectly, is account security. And we're doing a whole host of things on that front. But Steve, let's talk about that. Did you know what we're doing with account security?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the biggest frustration out there for customers is account hijacking and the sort of devastation that causes when accounts get hijacked. And I suppose historically we feel that we do quite a lot to target that. So we provide account security features, things like the authenticator, bank PIN, but then we rely on players to have a certain amount of account security themselves. So having two-step on their email and things like that, changing password regularly and not visiting phishing sites and things like that. And I think we're at the stage now where we think, is there anything else we can do? Is there something we should do? And particularly when you look at other games or other products that have perhaps a different approach to account security than we do. And our security tends to be, it's really good, but a lot of it is kind of optional and up to a player to set up. And perhaps it's not as industry leading as some account security that's available in other products. For SMS verification, for example, is one that just instantly springs to mind, where you can receive a text message if someone's trying to access your account or something like that. So what we're doing about that is we've put together a survey that tries to understand why people don't have security features. Sure. And then on top of that, things that would incentivize you to actually enable some of those security features. And then also talking about security features that we don't have, that aren't available at the moment, and do you think they're a good idea or not, and why that is, and would you want to implement them on a RuneScape account if they were available? So that survey will help us identify how people really feel about account security. And once we have all that data back from people that have completed the survey, we've then got some strong information then that we can look at and analyse and say, okay, well, maybe we should implement this particular security feature, or if we apply this particular incentive, that means we'll have a kind of this percentage increase in uptake of authenticator or things like that. So it just enables us to go to the wider company and say, look, we think this is an issue. Here's why we think it's an issue. Actually, we found out this information. If we do these 3 things or 4 things or whatever they are, actually we can improve account security and ultimately, get rid of or reduce things like hijacking and all the frustration and that causes.
Sounds good. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Account security is one of our biggest frustrations, and it's one of our customers' biggest frustrations. We have a finite resource in the company, and we need to put a case together to say, look, we need additional security features or better incentives. And as you say, this survey is a great opportunity to kind of get that data and make those changes where we can. Yeah,
I think it's worth saying that, account security, it comes as a business to supply account security comes at a cost. If you do things like SMS verification, that's a cost to Jagex. And, we're just trying to say, is that a worthwhile thing to do? How many people will it help? Will people use it? Will people like it?
Yeah.
And so that's what we're really trying to understand. What we don't want to do is invest a lot of time and effort into changing something in account security that actually doesn't resonate with people and people don't use it. Our ultimate aim is to make more RuneScape accounts as secure as we can.
Brilliant. And last but not least, and probably the most exciting thing on this list, because it's so close, Runefest 2016. Yeah. What are we doing there? The night before event, what's happening with customer support specifically?
We love Runefest. Yeah, it's coming around again. So the hype is here. Everyone's excited about it. So people who are coming to Namco, the night before party, right by the London Eye, that's a fantastic venue. A great, loads of fun there. Everything's free to use. All the games. There's bowling. There's pool tables.
Dodgems.
Dodgems. Yeah, the Dodgems are good. You can bash a JMod on the Dodgems. But the thing that's really good about the night before party is every single person in there is, either a RuneScaper or works for Jagex, or works for Namco, on the bar security. But basically everyone around you knows about RuneScape and wants to talk about it and loves it. So that's really cool, actually, to be in a building with, hundreds of people, all of them RuneScapers. It is really cool. So that's happening the night before. Customer support. So we're doing the ticket entry on the door.
Okay.
So we're like the bouncers.
Nice, yeah.
No, so we're checking tickets, just making sure people have got the right tickets, scanning those in, letting people in. We'll give you your your voucher or your wristband, not sure how we're doing it, but so you can get a free drink.
Cool.
So we'll be doing that. And also we'll be running the pre-registration for the Runefest event, which is happening the next day on Saturday the 17th. So what that means is that if you bring your Runefest ticket and your ID along to the night before party, we can pre-register you, give you your Runefest wristband for the next day. And that way you can kind of fast track through the queue the next morning, get straight in to be one of the first people straight into the Runefest event the next day. So that's what we're doing at the night before. At the actual Runefest party, customer support will be in the merchandise store. So that's always really busy. People head to the merchandise store. What cool stuff are they selling at RuneFest this year? What souvenirs can I get? So we're doing that. We're manning that. We're doing all the staffing for that. So yeah, come and see us, see the cool new things that we've got for RuneFest merchandise this year. And then people remember it's a thing of RuneFest, yeah? The balloon drop, that's got to happen.
Absolutely.
Every RuneFest has got to be a balloon drop. So you might remember, if you've been to a RuneFest event before, then when you burst those balloons, sometimes there's a little slip of paper inside that gives you a free t-shirt or something like that. You take that slip of paper to the merch store. So yeah, we'll be there at the merch store, making sure everybody gets all their free prizes from the balloon drop. And I think we might be doing something to do with the skilling chip activity as well, that people will be familiar with if they've been to RuneFest before. That's not 100% sure yet, but if you're going to RuneFest, do come along to the merchandise store, say hello to customer support. Everyone working in there will be from the customer support team. Or if you're going to the night before party, then we'll be letting you in and giving you your free drink ticket.
And potentially even a few rumours that there might even be a few bits of merchandise at the night before event.
Yeah, we're looking into that because I think people would quite like to have that early access, be able to get merchandise, the RuneFest merchandise, before it's actually on sale at the RuneFest event. So we're looking at maybe having some selected items, maybe limited stock, first come, first served. But yeah, we're going to sort of open to the public for the first time the official RuneFest merchandise. There will be some of it available at the night before party, and it'll be customer support staff selling that stuff. So say hi to them as well.
Cool. And if you're a regular listener to this podcast, you'll recognise my voice. You'll Mod Steve W. Sometimes we had Mod Kelvin, Mod Shell, Mod Sween. All of these guys are going to be at RuneFest as well. They'll be at the night before event. And so, if you want to speak to those guys and ask them any questions that you've got regarding previous podcasts, and they'll be there. It's a great opportunity to kind of talk to them.
Yeah,
and cool guys.
I think they love to talk to players as well. So they're not famous JMods like the devs and the guys, Mod Osborne and Mod Mark and guys like that you see on the live streams and everything. But so yeah, they'd love to speak to players. Come and see them. They love RuneScape. They love players. So come chat to the customer support guys.
Cool. All right, and breathe. We're done. So that's the 10. What is it? 10
did you know?
10 did you knows in customer support. Hopefully you didn't know them all. If you did, then you might as well work here. But hopefully it's been interesting and insightful. It's been fun for us to go through those topics. Any feedback as ever, tweet us at Jago Support. Let us know.
Yeah, and I think if there's something we've spoken about, one of those little did you know things, and actually you'd like to know a lot more about that, or go into a lot more depth about it, then let us know, and then perhaps we'll make that as a topic for a future podcast.
Sounds good. All right. Well, for now, that's bye from me.
And goodbye from me.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, player support team. And that's the end of our podcast this week. So look forward to speaking to you again soon. Bye.